Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Reinvention Show, a place where we come together and find out together how we can use the uncertainty and volatility of today's world and turn it into our competitive advantage. How can we reimagine, rethink, renew, and reinvent everything we do and everything we choose to spend our energy on? And today, it's such an excitement because I often speak about reinvention, and the first question is, what the heck can you reinvent? So, are we talking about product reinvention? No, there's so many things you can reinvent using exact same set of tools. Just like a skilled musician can play any kind of music on exact same piano. It can be classic music, folk music, rock music, rap music. The skilled reinvention practitioner can play very different projects using the same set of tools we call the reinvention method. And that's why today's guest is so special, because she is reinventing cities, communities, and urban settings, not just product services, processes, or leadership practices. Before I bring my amazing guests to the studio, can you let me in the comments, how are you today? Where are you joining us from? I see Germany is in the house. Welcome, Michael. We're happy to see you. I'm still in US, and let us know in the comments, where are you joining us from and how are you doing today? And as you're typing that up, it's my great honor to bring to the stage, to bring to the studio, a certified reinvention practitioner, a person who wears many hats, and a person who I think is doing magic when it comes to reinventing communities. And that is Sherri Sutton. Welcome to the show.
Hi, welcome. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited. So we are so happy to have you here, especially because traditionally we do a lot of work on reinventing business models, reinventing products, and so on. And you do something very different and very diverse. So can you say a few words? And as you're doing that, people are welcoming you from Columbus, and even more from Columbus. Moscow is in the house, and Slovakia is here. Henrietta, the member of the Stellar Club, is here as well. So welcome. Everyone is greeting you. Sherri, the very first question that I have is, how in the world did you get into reinvention? So tell us your story.
So I do wear a lot of different hats, and today I really want to focus on Connect and Propel. It's a nonprofit in Tampa Bay, and I am the executive director of Connect and Propel Tampa Bay. And this nonprofit actually formed and came out of an Appreciative Inquiry Summit. So I'm going to back you up for a moment to 2017, only because when we were planning the summit, one of the things that we wanted to do was attend a summit. So we put together a team and we went to the World Positive Education Accelerator, which is where I got introduced to your work, because you were the MC at that Appreciative Inquiry Summit. And so I started following you from there.
And so let me stop you for a second.
Yes.
Most people do not know what Appreciative Inquiry is and what is a summit. So very quickly, just to mention it to the audience who've never heard this term, a traditional summit in Appreciative Inquiry methodology is a place where many stakeholders come together to do strategic planning in real time in one room. So it's very typical to have 500 people all the way to a few thousand people in one room doing strategizing together. That's what a summit is. And Appreciative Inquiry is a particular school of thought in the change management and reinvention space. So just so everyone knows, and while you are getting the basics in, welcome to Portugal, to Dubai, to Kazakhstan. This is really a very international crowd today. So Sherri and I, unknownly to me, we've met in Texas. We were at a summit where the focus was education. How do we reinvent education? And that's where we've met.
And my focus was really learning how these summits work for large audiences, because I had done small group using Appreciative Inquiry, right, with a smaller group, and we were planning to have 500 people. come together. And so in November of 2019, we launched a summit in the city of Tampa, and it was called Connect and Propel Tampa 2019. And it was 2.5 days, and we had over 500 people attend each day. I think we had over 600 individual people. So it was a big community gathering. And the reason we had this summit is our focus. So every summit has a purpose, and our purpose was to figure out how Tampa could be a city where everyone thrives. And we had a lot of challenges that you talk about in reinvention. People were doing great in Tampa. Business was good. The city was doing good. People were moving here. Like, Tampa's a great city to live in, but it's not a great city for everyone. And we were trying to get people rallied around the fact that we could create a community where everyone flourishes. What does that look like? And so that was the purpose of our summit. And we really did a great job of bringing together this diverse audience, right? And so with the 500 people, we had students and retirees and businesses and nonprofits and races and religions and the military and all of these people to really talk about what do we do to make the community thrive. And we ended with 21 working groups. So these are like collective action groups of people that wanted to move forward and do work in the community to achieve that goal. So that's pretty exciting, right?
Absolutely. Can I ask you, why would you go through the trouble? You can do strategic planning with a small group or hire a consulting team. Why go through the problem of bringing 500 people from very different backgrounds into one room?
So the idea and part of the appreciative inquiry movement is that every voice is heard. And so what we really wanted to do was gather the voices of the people of the community, both people working on the problem, people suffering from the problem, people who have ideas on the problem, people who have worked on the problem, right? And bring the government in, nonprofits in, the businesses in, and the actual people, so that we really could find out what people were interested in doing about the problem together. And so it wouldn't be something like we weren't sharing what our ideas were, we were asking. So that's a great question. And that's really what made this summit so great, is we weren't coming in with a solution. We were coming in with an idea. What would it look like if we had this, and how do we create it? And we were really excited. Everything was going well. We had a plan. And so that was November of 2019. So March of 2020, the whole city shut down, right? And I remember sitting at my desk, like at my computer, and thinking, I have no idea what I'm going to do, like none. And, you know, I'm the executive director of the nonprofit. I have my own business that I'm running, and I really was at a loss. And I was very, very fortunate because I got an email from you, because I had been following you from before, that invited me to join this certified reinvention practitioner training. So you shared that I am a certified reinvention practitioner, but I remember looking at the email and thinking, that's what I need. I need reinvention. I need something else. I have to have something else, right? And in learning the reinvention tools, which I'm very grateful that I did, one of the things that we were able to do, and you actually covered a little bit of it in the Easy Reinvention Lab, but for anybody who wasn't there, what we were able to do when we hit lockdown. So Connect and Propel Tampa Bay, I told you, formed out of that. And so we call our customers propellers, or the people, our volunteers, right? And so we wanted to find out from our propellers, like, what can we do for you now? Because you're not interested in working on these collective action groups, but we still want to stay engaged with you. So what could we do? And so we used that reinvention tool of reaching out to the customers, looking at where they're at now and what they need. And what they said to us is, you could help provide us hope through positive stories, like help continue that appreciative inquiry message that you had of what's possible. And you could let us know where we could connect. If we can, what can we do? And so we got together to figure that out, and we created a community newsletter. And every week, we send it out every week. We shared positive stories in the community, things that were going well, things that people did. And that sounds easy, but it was really difficult. Like I spent hours and hours and hours going through all of these different sites to find the positive stories. And I had a team of people actually that helped me go through the community and identify these people. And every week we were able to share these stories. And then we shared, this is how you could get connected. You could donate items here, you could deliver items here, you could join the sewing committee to make masks, right? And helped people connect to what they could do that was positive. And the reason that's so important is because that's what kept our initiative alive, right? Because people didn't want to do the working groups, but they wanted hope and they wanted to stay connected. And that's what gives our initiative life, is we offer hope for people to get involved and connected, and we offer a way for people to get together. And so that was our first big win through.
I love that. I love that. So the topic of today's reinvention shows, how do you reinvent a city or a community? And here's what I'm learning so far. Number one is make sure that the whole system is represented, that it's not just few in the room. Don't make decisions behind closed doors in dark spaces that affect thousands or millions of people in your community. Represent.
And I'm going to add to that, make sure that every sector is included. Like you need your business community there, you need your nonprofits there, and you need your government agency to be involved. And that was another big piece, is making sure that all sectors were included with their voices.
Love that. So that's the first thing. The second thing is it's very easy to concentrate what's not working. Yeah. What's not working. You don't need to spend hours looking for those stories. They're on every front newspaper, they're everywhere on social media, it's trending and so on. But it's much harder to give people a reference point of what success might look like, success that is close to what you figure out. So concentrating on analyzing and sharing peak experiences rather than the valley, the bottom experiences, is the hallmark of appreciative inquiry. And that's something that you can take into your own life as you're listening, whether you are reinventing yourself, your company, your product, or like Sherri, you are reinventing a city, is doing diligent analysis and communication around how does success look like? How does it show up? What is a good example looks like? Great. And what happened next? Your first success, you started this system. Essentially, you started a new media. This is almost like a virtual magazine. It's newsletter. We're actually talking about essentially a new media. And what happened next?
What happened next was, because we were able to keep people engaged, we were able to start some of the project work that was moving. And then we were able to start reporting back on successes that we had from the working groups. And that was a huge win for us, because that's really where we wanted to get, is we wanted to get to a place where we could show that bringing all of these ideas together and really connecting students and, businesses and the government and organizations and nonprofits, when we brought all of that together, it created this energy and this magic to really bring some of this to life so that we could start working on bigger projects. And so by listening to the community and really having that ear of what do you need now, and then changing it. So our weekly newsletter, we only did it for 6 months. Once people started moving back into their daily jobs, they said, that's too much, right? We don't need that anymore. It was great when we were at home, but now you're flooding our inbox. And so now we've shifted that again and really reinvented it to a propeller newsletter where we just focus on one person for 1 month on something great that they're doing in the community that's really helping others. So that was our first win.
Love it.
And the second thing I would say for community projects, what makes Connect and Propel Tampa Bay so great is we're not reinventing anything that's there, but we are really connecting resources that are doing things together. So in Tampa Bay, which I'm sure it's the same in a lot of communities, we have over 10,000 nonprofits. And so how do we create a system where we're not another nonprofit offering a service, but we're really trying to help connect, like reinvent the way these nonprofits are working together so that they can maximize their dollars and maximize the services that they offer to their clients. And so how do they really focus on their strengths, their key points, but then come together so that together they can service people with less for more gain? And so that's another really big piece of what we do that's a little bit different than what's out there right now. And it's a different, like that's how the reinvention tools and the training have helped me. It's a different lens, right? Because I'm asking somebody who is getting money from donors or businesses to say, okay, I want you to bring these other people in, right? Which could possibly dilute what you're getting across a broader spectrum, so that we can look at serving the community a little bit different. So it's been really fantastic, and it's very rewarding work, but it's a different way of looking at things, and that requires a lot of change in mindset, in the lens that you look through, and how you bring people together, and looking for kind of that collective win.
I love that. So voices in the room, representation, focus on what's working, quick wins, and a lot of adapting and reinventing in the process. So try something, listen to the results, pivot again. That's what I'm getting. Where are you now? What happened next?
So what happened next is we've actually, we've had a couple wins on our projects. We created a sustainable community garden in one of the high schools that is working to help create, the students are growing the food and they're distributing and selling it in their community. So that's been really rewarding. We have one of the propellers from the summit actually started a live sustainable school. And so she got some help from different people. It was already kind of an initiative she was working on, but she got some momentum and some help and lifted that forward. And so we were able to be there for the launch and kind of share the work she's doing. We're working on a big community project right now with the Urban League to really do a scan in the community of minority-owned businesses that are profitable, but what do they need to scale? And so we're really looking for them to be eligible to be vendors on some of these contracts, right? Because there's a lot of work right now being done on diversity and inclusion around having diverse vendors. So how do we help these businesses? What do they need to scale to be eligible for those? So that's really exciting. And again, it's a connection. We've connected with New Impact, bringing in their tools on doing tri-sector analysis, which is just, government, nonprofit, and for-profit businesses to see what's available. We're still focusing with that lens of what's already there. Where are people spending money and what money is in the community? So that it's not a big focus on raising money, but more on repurposing what's already there. Which
and
is,
I think that's another thing that anyone can take from this story. Most of the time we have plenty. It's more rearranging and being resourceful with what we have and thinking, how do we connect things differently, rather than I need new investment, new products, new services, new people. And I love that this is being more thoughtful in using what you have rather than waiting until you have something else. Love that. And we have a lot of comments here. Not sure who that is, but there is a lot of reaction on similar projects in Syracuse. So this is resonating.
I love hearing about these projects. And I think that the more we share them, the more people will realize that you can have a voice in your community. I don't work for the government, right? I was just a business person that started working for this nonprofit, but we can still have community impact. And so if you would let me, I would love to share a story about a project that I'm just kicking off now, because I'd love to have feedback from everyone, because it's just in the making. But this will give you a really good example of how having a reinvention lens can help you in looking for opportunity. So
let's do that.
I was at my father's house. So I have aging parents. A lot of people do in the community, love them, make sure I'm there, every week to visit. And so I was visiting, and my dad shared with me that he had just been to a local charity where you can drop off things, that are gently used or brand new, and that they'll distribute them in the community. But what was interesting is what he was sharing with me is what he donated were the gifts that I had given him. So he's like, your gifts that you gave me for Father's Day and my birthday, I just donate all of that stuff because I don't need anything and I don't want stuff. And so I was like, okay. And so because I've done all of this work in reinvention and had this lens, I didn't get caught up in a story of, oh, that hurt my feelings, or, oh, right? Where some people, when they hear it, they're like shocked, like, oh, that doesn't seem nice. I didn't even think about that. What I thought of was, wow, that's an interesting concept. I wonder how many other people have that same situation, where they have parents who have the means to buy whatever they want. So they don't really need stuff, or friends that don't need stuff, or friends that are minimalist that don't want stuff, right? But they still want to give. They still have that feeling of giving that gives life. And so I called some of my propellers and kind of talked through it. And we've started this project now. And the idea that we have for the project, and we want to launch it in October, in Tampa, probably end of October, early November, is what if we could create a way for people to connect to multiple nonprofits? So we could get all of these different nonprofits to come together in a website or an app or some place where you could connect to them. And when you want to give someone a gift, like the example of me and my father, I could say, my dad loves fishing. So for his birthday, what I want to do is I want to connect on this website to these nonprofits, and I want to find a nonprofit that will give a fishing pole or fishing lessons or fishing camp or something to somebody so that they can learn to love fishing because he loves it. And so then I would pay for that to happen. So I would, whatever I picked, and then Connect and Propel would send me something, a card or a badge or something that says, and I would give him my dad's name. So my dad's name is Don, and it would say, Don, thank you for being a community impactor. Your gift to the community has provided fishing lessons for whoever they were for, or provided a fishing pole for, and then I could wrap that up and give it to him. Because my dad would feel so good about sharing fishing, right, with someone in the community. He would love that. It wouldn't be any stuff for him, but it would be meaningful for him. And so I could give that gift for him, because I probably wouldn't give for fishing. I'm not into fishing, but I could give it for him with the impact for him, right? And so we started looking at, some people may have a desire to help seniors, or some people might want to give shoes, or some people might want to help athletes getting started. So if we could pull that together and allow them to do it, and then give you an item, right? And it would have to be something that you could continually do it. So a badge or a card or something, that we could really impact our own community through giving. And so we're really taking that. I don't know if you remember, but for a while people were like paying off someone else's layaway for them, right? For giving and feeling good. And so it's that same kind of concept, but very targeted to the person you're giving the gift to their wishes, and allowing them to have that. So it would be like a win for me to give a gift. So you could give the gift, a win for the recipient, and a win for the community that they live in. Mm-hmm. And so that we could all thrive. And so we've been able to do that through that reinvention lens. I'm super excited. Some of the propellers might even be on the call today, but I can't wait to report out on that. So maybe I could share it with you, and you can share it with your viewers as we get.
Absolutely. I think that's the beauty that gives me so much energy and keeps me going, is that exact same tools that people use to reinvent mining business, their nonprofit, their product, their insurance company, their IT company. This whole morning, I was with a group in France with the automotive sector, and exact same tools work for thinking, okay, how do I bring more life into my community? How do I align resources of nonprofits so they stop competing with each other and start collaborating and sharing resources? How do I manage my own emotions? Imagine you come home and your parents say, "Hey, I just donated all of your gifts." And you're like, "I spent so much time with choosing those gifts. You're like, stop me." And instead of that, you have the skill set and the mindset to say, "Hey, this is a great idea. How about I rethink all of it?" This is powerful. And I know that I'm not the only one. Henrietta is saying this is amazing. Beautiful to hear what you actually do. Is there a tool that is trending for you right now? Between all the different tools in the reinvention methodology, is there one tool that is kind of ringing the bell the most right now?
Well, actually, the tool that's ringing the bell the most is the one that I know the least about, which is interesting. But I'm really interested in the Reinvention Canvas. So I'm going to the training this afternoon for help with that. But I really want to figure out how to help people map on there, like what everybody is doing, what's happening, so that they could see a map of these are all the nonprofits right now that are helping with athletes. Here's the map of what it all is, and how do we reinvent that in a way that we're supporting each other to maximize the value for the athletes. And that's really what we want to do, is we just want to create maximum amount of value in our community without asking for another spend or for people to invest more. So that's the one tool I really want to use. My favorite reinvention tool is Stellar. And that helps with the planning. But I found that I really have to have short sprints because things are changing so frequently. So that's
Love that.
that's the tools
So
I
those of you who have the latest book, the Chief Reinvention Officer Handbook, Sherri is talking about tool number 8, the Reinvention Portfolio Canvas, which is on page 180. And yes, indeed, we have a training coming up later today on how to use this specific tool. The interesting thing about this tool, it has so many different applications. I have people who are using it to map out resources. I have people who use it for due diligence. I have people who use it inside for their team organizational needs and managing their team portfolio of projects, and on and on and on. So if you guys are interested, Stas from our team will give you a link to today's workshop, and you're welcome to join. And again, if you have the book in your hands, it's page 180, Reinvention Portfolio Canvas, and that's where we go. For me, the interesting thing about this canvas, this is the easiest entry. It doesn't require much explanation. It's not confusing. It's very, very simple. So let's see what happens at today's workshop.
Well, hopefully it works for me, because I need to use it with my team right now.
Yeah, absolutely. If you were to give one piece of advice as we're wrapping up today's episode of the Reinvention Show, you have done now work for years reinventing communities, waking up the connections between different sectors, government, business, nonprofit, citizens. You have spent years keeping that alive, because there is really no institution that does that other than few people who want to do that. It's always in the hands of the community. What is your one piece of advice or insight or takeaway that you have to share with our viewers who are thinking, okay, if I was to think about reinventing my maybe small community, my village, or part of my community, or the whole city, where would they go?
My first piece of advice is I would start with listening. Go to community meetings and really make sure it's diverse. Go to all of the different pockets of your community. Join some of the meetings that they have that you're eligible to sit in, like you don't have to be a member, and really listen to what people are talking about and what their needs are. And what you'll find is people are talking about many different things. But in one area, like you might attend some of your government local meetings, they'll talk about a need that they want to solve. But when you go to the communities and really listen to what the people are saying, they'll tell you what they need. And you'll have a really good idea of what that is and be able to connect. But my number one piece of advice would be listen first, and then bring people together to hear their voices. And it really accelerates like what's possible.
I love that. I think that applies for any type of reinvention. Listen first. Whether you're reinventing yourself, spend some time in silence, actually listening. What in the heck do you want to do? If you're reinventing your product, think and spend some time with your customers without pushing anything, just listening and observing. If you're reinventing internal process, spend some time listening to the people inside the organization. And of course, if you invented a larger system like a city or an industry, spend some time listening. Love that. Sherri, thank you so much for joining us. For everyone who was here, we are so honored. Put in the question in the comments, what are the big topics you want us to cover in the coming shows? We are coming. We have an amazing show next week on reinventing bison meat industry, just to give you a sense of diversity that we cover. So we go from reinventing a city to reinventing a bison meat industry. And I've never knew anything about bison meat before this story, but I'm very excited. Put in the comments what questions you would like us to cover, and also what kind of guests you would like to see. I'm sure you have some ideas who you would like to see. And in the meantime, Sherri, we are honored to have you among the certified reinvention practitioners. I'm excited to see how nonprofit sector is taking some of these tools to completely new heights. It makes me wonder what's possible. And I, as a citizen, also appreciate and thank you for what you do for making our communities healthier, stronger, and better for all. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
And thank you for bringing in the tools.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone. Happy to see you. This concludes this episode of the Reinvention Show. Waiting for your reaction, and say hello to Sherri. Please give some support. Tell us what you think about the project Sherri just shared and took time to share with us. Thank you, everyone. Bye.